Hi, I'm Chris Benson, and this is Benson, the first in a brand new chat show, if you like, for want of a better phrase, where I'll be interviewing various people. Some of them will be video interviews, some of them will be audio interviews, where I'll be putting on YouTube some of the interviews I've done for hospital radio and community radio over the years. So anyway, we start off with author Simon Hepworth, and for me, I've been trying to compile my memoirs for ages, and I'm just that disorganised that I've got hundreds of files still on my computer, all a mess. So I've got to admire someone that's actually gone out there, not only done one book, he's done 3 books now, plus a couple of short stories as well. So it was fantastic to meet him and find out how he got started in self-publishing as well as with a publisher. So anyway, enjoy. This is episode 1 of Benson. It's Monday evening, it's the 1st of June, and hello from Chris Benson from a very wet Farsley. What am I here for tonight? I'm here for this, an evening with Simon Hepworth. See, beer in hand, we're at the Fleece in Farsley, and I've got author Simon Hepworth with me. Cheers.
Good evening.
See, you don't get that on Graham North.
No, you don't.
You don't.
No,
Cheers.
no, he gets a chair.
We don't
Yeah,
even have
we'll
that.
stand.
We'll stand. Right, some great
You've got the
books here.
cricket on in the background.
We have. Doing 137 for 5 doesn't sound good. Let's have a look at the books. I'm like Keith Floyd. Let's pan down, Mr. Whitfield. There we go. So Simon, this is your one hot off the press here. We'll come back to that in a moment.
Yep.
First of all, let's start with Striking Through Clouds. Tell us more about it.
Striking Through Clouds, it's unusual in that it's the war diary of a squadron. The story of the squadron is that my great uncle served in the Second World War. He was a flight engineer in 514 Squadron. And his job was to stand alongside the pilots and operate all the systems of the Lancaster aircraft. Peter had been told that after 35 operations, the crew would have completed their tour of operations. They'd be stood down for at least 6 months before having to go back altogether. On the 34th operation in November 1944, they were shot down.
Just literally a couple of operations.
Yes,
more after that.
They bombed, they were about to leave the target area, they were hit by flak. He'd almost certainly have survived the next operation because the squadron lost no aircraft then. 6 months would have taken him beyond the end of the war. He'd probably be alive today. Sadly, it wasn't to be. He was 20 years old when he died. For the next 70 years, his brothers and the rest of his family had no knowledge of what had happened to him. I got interested in history. I've always been interested in aviation. I come from an aviation family. So I started looking at it, and what happened was that the Commonwealth War Graves Commission put a search record online a few years ago, and that made searching for lost aircrew very much more straightforward. So cutting a long story short, I got the records and I built up a picture of where he served, when he was lost, and so on. What I then did was I went to the National Archive, what used to be the Public Records Office at Kew, and they have the operational record books for every squadron.
And you mentioned this is where the microfiche was.
Yes, it was all stored on microfiche. The RAF, of course, is a massive bureaucracy, as are all the armed forces.
Why not find that?
Exactly. And everything that was done was recorded. And all of that has been retained in the National Archives. So it's an absolute goldmine for historians and researchers. So I got hold of the squadron records, and they're very, very difficult to read. Optical character recognition just simply wouldn't work. But luckily, I had a contact in Australia who was off work for a few months, a guy called Andy Pirelli. And he laboriously went through all these records, and he transcribed them. That was months of work. I'd started work on it, and I think I started in about August. By October, I was just about keeping one day at a time.
So you added bits.
It's taken me two years.
So you added bits to this transcription from Andrew,
Yes, I did.
which comes into the war diary that the first book was.
Yes, because they were written the day of the event. So in a lot of cases, it simply had a list of the crew and it just said aircraft missing. And that was it, nothing as to what had happened. So there was a lot of work to do, finding out where each and every aircraft had come down. The squadron lost 88 Lancasters, Some of them are lost without trace, but through a lot of research and really sort of finding our way as we've gone along, we've managed to find out what happened to all but, I think, 4 of them. 4 are totally lost without trace. I can surmise that they were brought down by night fighters because there was night fighter activity at the time. No witnesses, middle of the night, middle of the North Sea, and nobody sadly will ever know.
But for like you say, out of all those, just to be unsure on 4 isn't bad going at all.
I'm really pleased about that because 437 members of the squadron were killed. What that means is that 437 families who potentially either never knew what happened to the family member, or even if they did, they didn't know the context of what they were doing, why they were doing it, and what the rest of the squadron was doing, because there was no full history of the squadron. There was a veteran called Harry Dyson, who was another flight engineer, and he collated some accounts from surviving squadron members. He published it privately, but he made that available to me for Nothing Can Stop Us.
Well, let's plan in on that one, that Nothing Can Stop Us.
Because although this is the technical record of what the squadron did, there's no flavour, there's no human touch to it. So I've rewritten this as a narrative, and I've added the veterans' accounts, so you can now see what's happened day in, day out, and you can see what the people who did it were going through at the time.
And there's going to be a third book as well.
There is a third one, yes, called Beach Boys and Bombers. The reason it's called Beach Boys is they flew out of an airfield called Water Beach, which was known as the Beach. And those are the records for every crew, because we've collated a list, and we've got records of what every crew did and what every aircraft did. So now we can put together an operational record for each crew. And I've also got about 300 photographs of aircrew and of aircraft, so I can match those to the records. And we'll then have a 3-volume comprehensive history of 514 Squadron. Now, most people can be forgiven for never having heard of 514 Squadron. It wasn't the Dam Busters. The Dam Busters are famous, and rightly so.
Yeah.
But there were 70 or 80 other bomber squadrons who were unsung.
I suppose, like you said, the thing about it all started from the Facebook group that you've got, which just,
yes,
and then look what it's turned into.
Well, the good thing about the Facebook community, as with any business, is that you start to network, and people find it, and they find that suddenly there are other people who are interested in the same subject as them, and they send material, and manage to get people in touch with other families of people from the same crew. And it's really nice when you can arrange a reunion. I just recently managed to arrange a reunion from a surviving wireless operator with the widow of his navigator.
Oh.
So again, we're now 70 years down the track. And these people, they're in their 90s now. They're not going to be with us for very long, which is a tragedy, but it's inevitable. But what's important is that we're giving them the opportunity to make sure that what they did is preserved in posterity for the next generation, and so that their families know what the story was.
We're going to put the details of how you can get these books on the bottom of the screen.
And what I'm happy to do is sell books direct to people, sign them, and particularly for people who have got a link to the RAF, and especially Bomber Command 514 Squadron, and to dedicate the book to whoever they would like.
That's a good touch.
These
are self-published,
These are self-published, yes. The Late Ship, the novel is published by the publisher, but it's very difficult to get mainstream publishers interested in what they see as very much a minority interest, because these books, these sell in the hundreds.
Yes.
Publishers only want books that will sell in the several thousands. So it's now very simple, very straightforward. Once you know what the process is to self-publish,
you can do it again.
Yes. Writing the book is actually the easy bit. Publishing, once you know what you're doing, is more straightforward. Selling books is every author's nightmare, and that's where the 90% of perspiration comes in. You can crack that one, then I think.
Let's touch on Late Shift then.
Yes.
Obviously, it's a different, totally different process that you've had to go through. But I guess summarise the plot then for us. Give us a tease.
Well, give you a tease. It's basically a cop who gets shot dead on duty. It's not a whodunit because he knows who's done it. which is no use when you're the only witness and you're dead.
No, not really.
How are you going to make sure that your murder is investigated properly when your colleagues, or your former colleagues, have got nothing to go on? It's clearly not a true story because the hero is dead, and all the action virtually all the action takes place in the afterlife. The good thing about writing about the paranormal is that you can literally make it up as you go along, and that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, there's no rules.
It's based on a true incident, though, because I did my training as a firearms officer in my previous force, and part of the exercise was to be driven in an armed response vehicle up onto the moors, middle of the night, following a vehicle. We stopped the vehicle. And I was in the passenger seat, and I got the carbine, all the really sort of macho gear on everything. Went to get out of the car, and the car ahead of us, which obviously stopped, back door open, and out comes a guy, and he's wearing balaclava and combat jackets and jeans, and he's got a sort of shotgun. At which point I sort of ducked back into our car, a bit pointless because the glass wasn't bulletproof.
Right.
And he turned the shotgun round and fired it. Right, which is no plots give away here, because that's what happens right at the outset of the book. Because what I thought was two things. First of all, for a split second, I thought it was real.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting experience. And then I thought afterwards, well, if that had been for real, what would have happened next? And that thought, and bearing in mind this took place a good few years ago now, but that sort of festered away at the back of my mind. And eventually, I thought, what's the germ of the story here? And it took me 3 years to write the first 6 chapters, because I didn't know where the story was going to go. I didn't have a spine to the story. As soon as I got that, in 3 months, the next 20 chapters all fell into place.
Yeah, so like lots of drafts for the rest. He was quite happy, quite early on with the rest.
Well, I wrote it, and then you have to, you do redraft it.
Yeah.
Redraft it again until you're happy with it. Yes. And it is hard work. It becomes an obsession. And so there we are.
Without giving away the ending,
Which I won't sequel. There is. I've started on it, but I've had other things to do. I've got an interim project going on, which is a book called The Dark Part of the Sky. My two loves in writing are ghost stories, and I'm not big into the paranormal. I'm not into all that kind of thing. It's just great fun to write about.
Yeah.
And Bomber Command, which is a great passion of mine. So The Dark Part of the Sky is a collection of Bomber Command ghost stories.
Now that just mixes them both.
It does. It does.
It really does.
I'm just making life easy for myself.
Is that going to be self-published as well?
Yes, it is. I've set up a company called, or a publishing enterprise called Mention the War Publications, as in don't mention the war. And I can't stop going on about it. It makes me very popular in Germany, and I do sell books in Germany. I've never worked that hard. So they will be publishing Dark Part of the Sky as well.
That's brilliant. Well, all the best for tonight.
Thank you.
Absolutely fantastic.